All right, today we're diving into something pretty fascinating. We're looking at how one of the biggest cities on the planet is completely rethinking its fight against winter, basically by giving up its #1 weapon.
So, when the first snow of the season hit Beijing, the city rolled out a huge policy change. They decided to move away from a tool that's been the go-to for fighting ice for, well, forever. So what exactly is happening here, and why make such a big shift now?
You know, to really get why this is such a big deal, we first have to talk about the invisible damage that the old solution was causing. I'm talking about those chemical de-icers, which, let's be honest, most of us just call road salt.
I mean, for years and years, this has been the playbook for cities everywhere. It's cheap, it works fast, and it keeps the roads clear. But there's a really serious catch that's been quietly getting worse and worse over time.
And this is where it gets kind of wild, because the damage is hitting from two different directions. First, you've got the infrastructure. The salt seeps into concrete and weakens it from the inside out, and it just supercharges the rusting of steel bridges. But then, there's the environmental side. It makes the soil salty, which kills off the trees along the roads, and it pollutes local water, which could even mess with the drinking water supply.
So, this table really lays out the tough choices cities have, right? On one side, you have these great organic agents, but they're super expensive. So expensive, they're usually just for places like airports. On the other end, you've got the cheap but really destructive chloride salts we were just talking about. And somewhere in the middle are these newer, eco-friendly options, like ones made from corn, that are still being explored.
Okay, so knowing all that, Beijing came up with a new, much more targeted plan. Let's take a look at how they're trying to solve this puzzle. Now here's the key thing to understand. This isn't a total blanket ban. It's much smarter than that. They've banned de-icers in places where people walk and in green spaces, so sidewalks, parks, that kind of thing. But they do still allow it, in small amounts, on the most critical roads, bridges, and intersections to keep traffic moving safely. And get this, even in the places where they can still use salt, the rules are super strict. The new standard is no more than 25 grams per square meter, and if they need to apply more, it has to be reported in real time. They are really trying to control exactly how much is being used. Yeah, so this change didn't just happen overnight. Not even close. We're talking about a process that's been in the works for more than 20 years. From early talks to testing out new corn-based de-icers to learning from what other cities like Harbin were doing. It's all been leading up to this moment.
Okay, so a greener policy sounds awesome, right? But what does that actually look like on the ground when the snow starts piling up? Let's get into the real-world trade-offs of switching from chemicals to good old-fashioned shovels.
And this really gets to the heart of it. They're swapping the quick fix of chemicals for sheer people power. The city has been carved up into more than 8,000 sections, and clearing them depends on this massive, coordinated push from government workers, local businesses, and even volunteers.
And we are talking about a huge operation here. The city has thousands of plows and machines ready to go, but the real test is getting those 48,000 plus manual tools, shovels basically, out there and working effectively, all without the melting power of salt to help them out.
So this whole thing makes you wonder, right? Are other cities finding more creative ways to handle this? Are we really stuck with a choice between corroding our bridges and just a lot of backbreaking labor?
Well, you're not going to believe this, but it turns out some cities are looking in a pretty weird spot for an answer: the grocery store. Yep, in some parts of Canada, they're mixing their salt brine with, of all things, beet juice.
So how on earth does that work? Well, it's actually pretty clever chemistry. The sugar in the beet juice helps the salt mixture stick to the road better, and it actually lowers the freezing point even more than salt alone. That makes it a powerhouse in seriously cold weather, and it's way less corrosive.
But you guessed it, there's no perfect solution. Beet juice is pretty amazing, but it comes with its own set of cons. It can stain roads and cars this reddish color, it has a unique smell, and it costs more up front. It just proves that every single solution is a compromise.
Okay, so let's circle back to Beijing and the massive challenge they're taking on. What does this whole experiment really mean for the future of winter in the city?
When you boil it all down, this is the fundamental choice they're making. The city and its people get huge long-term wins, like cleaner water and healthier trees. But the trade-off, in the short term, might be slower melting snow and, well, more slippery sidewalks on the way to work.
And this is where a high-level policy decision hits the streets, literally. For millions of people, the immediate effect is that snow and ice just hang around longer.
It means your morning commute might require a little extra caution and probably a better pair of boots.
So what's the takeaway here? Well, as more and more cities start to really face the hidden costs of doing things the old way, Beijing's big experiment is giving us a really powerful look into what the future might hold. A future where being sustainable might just mean we all have to learn to tread a little more carefully. Thanks for watching.